Hello and welcome to the Hat Warriors Customs office. This is going to be a hopefully bi-weekly series or maybe even weekly series where I go through and make customs using the official World of Warriors figures, as the ones you see here, and turn them into other ones while giving you kind of a step-by-step process so you can do it either yourself or just watch along for the fun of it. So today we have 4 figures here that we're hopefully going to do like customs on simultaneously. We might borrow some pieces from, say, Night Skull and put them on what we're going to do with Festa. We'll see. So today, hopefully, we're going to be adding Utu to our collection here. We have the card here for reference. And so we're going to be using Dao here. And if you compare the similarities, they're quite similar. We're going to take this top bit off, do a couple bits of repainting, hope maybe make the shield square, we'll see. Then next we have this Pelion here, who we're going to make into a Hector, which should be quite easy. It's just going to be a bit of repainting of the helmet and a bit of detailing on the shield that's different. Then for Festa here, we're hopefully going to make ourselves a dice custom, as I've already done this with Slice already, so this should hopefully be quite easy. And to make these horn bits, we're going to take the horns from Night Skull, as if you look on the sheet here, the dice figure has very similar horns to the Night Skull figure. Okay, so that's hopefully the plan. Hopefully we can tick off some more characters, and if I have time at the end, I'll turn this Night Skull figure into Red Blade. Okay, sounds pretty fun, so let's get started. Okay, so for this first part we're going to start with Utu, or at least this Dao figure I've currently got. The good thing with the figures is often they were very low detail, so they should be very easy to custom. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a pair of clippers and just remove this top part. So we're going to push that down so it doesn't go flying. So now we have like a little trail which we can save for later because we might need it in another custom. I'll always provide alternate builds which don't require you destroying another figure first. So here we want to kind of take this top bit off, which might be a little difficult with clippers, but I'll give it a try. We can smoothen it out with an X-Acto knife later or something like that. Okay, so with the current look, I'm thinking this might not be as easy as I first thought. I've managed to kind of like get rid of the top. We can smooth that out a bit later because the helmet's pretty much the colour we already want it. So the main other bit is giving him like a white gown and doing the shield properly. I'm probably going to keep the shield round because making custom shields is a bit of effort and making them fit properly takes a bit. They're not too hard to do, it's just not exactly something that's priority right now. So we want a white, which I don't seem to have brought with me, so I'm going to go grab that quickly. Okay, so I'm back, and I have the figure, and I have the paint. So this paint, as you can see, is Citadel Ulthuan Grey, which I'm just going to shake quickly. The thing with the Citadel paints is this with the outline here and the name you can see is a layer paint, which means it works better when applied to an already applied coat of paint. So like you'll use one of these red outline paints to go first, typically. However, with the figures, because they've already kind of got a baseline paint job, if you can see, this sticks reasonably well. Sometimes it can be a bit patchy, so we might need to do a couple of layers of this. So we're just going to do the gown here and the shield. I'm going to go slightly over this sword here. I think I'm going to take off the end of it just to shorten it down a little. Okay, there you go. So we'll paint over this. So the sword's a little shorter. The sword doesn't exactly match what Utu's got, but a lot of these things are like quite subjective. You just want it to look a bit more like Utu than it does like Dao, which hopefully with a couple flecks of paint should be quite nice. So I'm pretty sure I have a bit of a whiter paint. So, or no, this is my white paint. So I'm gonna go over the shield quickly. Get all the little nooks and crannies, and as you can see, because it's kind of more of a grey at the moment than a white, I'll probably have to go over it again. And I want to make the sword pointed. There we go, that's quite nice. And I'm going to around the back and on the feet, just to, and we're kind of going to do a diagonal line down here, just like mark it like that, and then just paint below that line. Yeah, I remember when the game was still around, Utu was one of my favourites because I thought he had such a goofy name, you know, quite funny. He used to go Utu. Yeah, I never actually got him. One of the things I want to get if the fan server comes out. Keep having to correct myself to if. Now imagine the fate's already decided when I release this video. That would be a bit of an L. So we're gonna just go up here and drop that down there. So look, he's kind of got the gown now. Doesn't look great, I know. It still looks like a lot of like thin layer of wet paint, but don't worry, we'll go over this a couple of times to improve it. We'll do a couple of brown details. Hopefully it should look a bit better. I don't know, a lot of these are like hit and miss. Sometimes they go really well and other times they go absolutely horrible, so we're just going to drop him there. And in the meantime, we can move on to another one of ours, which should hopefully be Dice. It's a lot easier to do. Okay, so we've now got Dice up in the corner here, and we've got our Festa figure. So, interestingly, Festa doesn't need a lot of customization. Although typically Slice and Dice don't have shields, our customs will have this typical Skull Army shield. Another plan I have for a Festa figure is I'm hopefully going to do Dungo, the guy with the bomb, because I've realised how perfectly this would fit, but for now we're going to do this one. So I think the hardest part here will probably be the eye patch, making that look good. The rest of it should be fine. So we're going to start off by just like fixing the figure slightly. So we want to take off this arrow, and if you see here, it's like a little gap in the hair, so we're going to try and put that in the helmet. So the helmet's going to stand in for the hair because it works perfect. Like, Festa is an amazing figure. He's like the most default of like character you can get. So we're going to hopefully just clip a couple bits off of him and then get painting. Okay, so we've got a little part in the hair here, so that's should hopefully work quite nice. We're just going to paint that the flesh tone. So normally Rakarth flesh doesn't work as a great flesh tone, but because all the Skull Army minions are like really pale and kind of dead looking, we can use this paint quite well, and this one is a base paint, so it will cover better. So remember, if you're using the same brush, wash it first and just grab it. So I've got lots of these really fine detail brushes. They work best for this kind of painting. So we're going to just open up this paint, grab a couple flecks on our brush, and we're going to start painting. So we're going to want to paint everything except for the mouth and the eyes. We're going to redo a lot of this bottom stuff, so you might not want to bother painting that, it might be a waste of paint. You're also going to want to do this little incision here in the flesh tone. So just quickly go through that. Okay, so we've done the flesh tone for Dice. Now we're going to want to do the hair colour. So the hair colour we'll do with a simple black. This one here, Abaddon Black. It's quite easy. It's also the same colour we're going to use for the gown here at the bottom, as well as the hands and such. So we're going to basically paint over the entire bottom of the character with this black. Now make sure it doesn't mix with your already painted flesh tone. If you do it carefully, it shouldn't. If you don't feel confident in painting that, then you should just leave it to dry for a bit. The good thing with this is we can leave this skull here. We're going to paint this skull here black because it works as a stand-in for this light bun at the top. So we're just going to cover pretty much the rest of the figure in black now. Remember to paint over the arrow on his forehead just to distinguish it. So you might be wondering where the horns are, and as I mentioned earlier, we can use the Night Skull ones, but they're not super necessary at this point to add in. I do a lot of my extra additions after I finish painting, and then we'll paint them, or I've painted them before I stick them on. So we'll see how we do that. So I just need some more black paint. I prefer to do this one here in the colour of the top rather than the colour of the bottom half, but you can choose. Really doesn't make too much of an impact. So it's already looking quite cool. We will need to come back to the black after we've done this to correct some of the main figure. Wow, doesn't she look good? Now, let's go back to Utu and give him that second coat of white. So, as you can see, it's still quite blotchy, which we can solve quite easily by just doing another quick coat of Ulthuan Grey. Hopefully, so. Okay, so we're just gonna quickly paint over everything we've already painted over, just one more time, just to properly give it that look, so it really pops with the white. See, a lot of this is quite patchy here, so hopefully when we give it the second coat, it should tidy itself up quite a bit. Cool. So we've got the toga now, or the thing, I don't know. So anyway, we're going to leave that to dry. Then we're going to do a couple bits of colour correction on you two. In the meantime, we can move on to our third figure, Hector. So now we've got Hector here. Well, currently it's Pelion. So Hector we're going to want to do with this black and gold paint here. So first thing we're going to do is, as always, cover the whole thing, like the whole helmet here. So everything that's currently yellow will be covered in black this time. So let's get get out our Abaddon Black and a brush. Get to work. Okay, so I've managed to accidentally put a bit on the face, which hopefully we can correct, but I'm not too confident. So we're doing a lot of black painting this time, so we're using a lot of black paint. and black is the most common one we're going to use. It appears on almost every warrior. I'm going to go back to dice. Okay, so back at dice now, you can see that the black paint's almost dried, but the flesh tone is kind of being shown up by the green underneath. So we're going to want to put another coat of green on. So did I say another coat of green? I meant another coat of flesh, sorry. So here we go. I can just quickly give this another layer. I'm probably going to redo the mouth, so I'm going to cover that one. And I'm going to cover this eye because we're going to have an eye patch here. And now that looks quite cool, doesn't it? Look at that. That's going to look really nice when the flesh tone dries, and we're going to do another coat of black. Then we can do the eyebrow, hopefully the mouth, and then we're going to do a little bit of white detailing for the teeth. Going to paint the sword, and we're going to do a bit of red on the hands and on the shield. Okay, quite cool. Back to Utu. Okay, so I really don't think there's much more to be done here. I'm going to go over the sword so you can more easily differentiate between the colours. I think I'm going to paint all the way to this end here because that really didn't work trying to clip that off. And I'm hopefully going to just do a bit with the face, just kind of stretch these eyes out a little more. Possibly, I'm not sure. I've got to do something because he still looks very much like a Dao. So, oh yeah, I've got to put the detailing on the shield as well. So, let's give this a try. I might do a gold helmet. I'll try that. See how it looks. Only problem with the gold is that sometimes it can be a bit runny. But this one looks to be quite a solid coat, so this should look quite nice. Okay, that's not great, but hopefully the helmet can make up for it. So you can see, because it's a large area, I'm going to use this slightly larger brush. There we go. That looks a lot more like Utu now. I think I'm happy with that. Great. So now we can go back to our black and work on dice again. So I get that this is probably quite a long video comparatively, but I'll put in timestamps in the description. So we're going to do, we're going to do the black now. We're going to do an eye patch and do an outline for the mouth, like as in do the mouth minus teeth and lips. Okay, we're going to get some black paint, and we're going to get dice here. Okay, so you can see that the eye patch kind of goes, wait, I've got a bit too much on my brush, so I'm just going to reduce that. The eye patch kind of goes from here backwards, and then we're going to have to roughly approximate. Sorry, I'm off camera again. I gotta get used to this. Normally I just do this by myself, so holding it where I can see best. Okay, which sometimes might mean you can't see it. Not terrible for now, so we can drop that back. Again, everything is kind of temporary because we can always go over it with another coat of paint. Now, we've got to correct Hector's face, which is a Definitely not problematic at the moment. Okay, so I'm not sure whether I trust myself using the Rakarth Flash paint, because I think that might ruin it. So I'm going to try it though, but it could ruin it. And he's lost an eye. Okay. He's lost both eyes. But I can just paint those back in, hopefully. At least the skin tone seems to be kind of consistent now. I'm going to just quickly add there. Hopefully. Okay, so that should allow for better customization later. Let's check the card. I think I can do that red on the top. That would look really nice here, this red. Okay, so we're going to put this up here. So there's like a second ledge here, I don't know if you can see it, but you want to only do above that ledge, because we're going to use the ledge for that gold detailing. Oh, I think I've just, no, okay. I remember Hector got like a massively good like when I say massive, I mean like 3 people, like, oh wow, Trojan, which is quite cool. So yeah, so now he's got like a red plume, which is quite cool. And I'm going to cover the whole shield as well in red, because we're doing red and Hector at the moment, because he needs a red shield, and we're going to do a yellow serpent on it later. And of course that nice gold looking outline. Nice. Okay, so he'll just go for a dry here. Now I think the paint here is dried enough for us on dice here for us to move on to the detailing. So we're going to try and do the outline, which you can see is kind of like a grey mouth thing. So we're going to use the paint Celestra Grey, which is kind of like greyer than Ulthuan Grey, which is more of like a dark white, if you know what I mean. So we're just going to grab a little of this on our brush. Again, I'm not sure how good any of this is for you guys to see, so I perhaps got a little much. Oh no, that looks pretty good. It's quite, you know, I'll do that, then we can do some black in it next time, and then we can do the teeth. I think that's probably the best way of doing it. So we've washed that brush, but I kind of want to do some red now, and it doesn't have red on the teeth, so we can leave that to dry while we do some red detailing on the hands and whatnot. So we're going to grab some red, and we want to see where the like mitts are, so we're going to go over those with red, because you can see she's got red mitts on here. Going to give you a little red at the back, and of course we're going to do this stripe in the middle red, because that's the standard Skull Army shield. If you actually look, Dungo and Festa both have this shield, and I think some others do as well. So we've got that. I'm going to just add a pinch of red to the eyes. We're gonna do some black as well. I just need to. So when we do the black, we're gonna need to redo some of these eye detailings. So that's quite nice. Looking very much close to it now. Because we're in the last little detailing phase, I'm going to work with our gold paint again, and we're going to do the blade. So we're just going to grab some gold, just pop it on this blade here, and wow, doesn't that look good? Anywhere else we need gold other than the horns? No, not currently, so we can pop you over to dry before we do the mouth. Now, gold is important for Hector, so we're going to switch over to Hector and do some gold detailing with him, because most of the helmet's dry now, which is good. So first we're going to do the edge of the shield, which we can do by like using the edge of the brush here to just go over this black rim. And we can go over on the outside as well, just to cover it. You can be a bit more liberal with your application here. Okay, and we're just going to go over this thing again with gold, because it's kind of like the gold snake he's got there. Now, as you can see, he's got like the first drop down thing on his face, but I'm going to, instead of doing what he's got here, because that'd be really hard to do on this very bumped face, I'm going to go over all of the trimmings in gold, and hopefully that looks quite cool. We're going to do... Actually, we're going to leave that facial bit there, here, this ridge here. We're just going to do the other ridges.
There we go.
Like a dirty gold, that's quite cool. I might go over it again though to make it a bit more accurate to the figure. I'm not sure. I mean the character, you know, the model in the game, because it's quite, they're quite strong colours, you know. But that's still very cool. And while that's still drying, we can quickly add his eyes back. So the way we're going to do that is with Ulthuan Grey. We're just going to kind of go over where his eyes should be, and then we can add eyebrows and eyes in black. Almost out of time, so we're not going to do a red blade today, but we're going to do the black on this mouth, and then later we're going to do the teeth. So okay, so we just want to be careful with this because we still want the outline to be there, but we also don't want it to be too thick. Okay, so he's got the outline, but his mouth's still there, and then when we do the teeth, hopefully it looks good. Did I say his? Every time I say his, I mean her, because, like, Dice is a girl. So is Slice. Anyway, so that's pretty much done, so we're going to leave those to dry a little. I need to do a bit on Utu's sword, actually, so... Now is the first bit in silver, so we're going to use our lead belcher paint, again from Citadel. Citadel's my favourite because their paints do like really stick and whatnot, so we need a little bit of silver, and we just want to go over the sword all the way to the end. And look at that, beautiful. So that's quite a nice sword if you look at it from a distance. Like I said, the Utu is like one of the misfig as well as the other two. It's like, yeah, those are quite good, relative. It's like every so often there'll be good ones and then there are bad ones, but the other ones look quite good, whereas Utu's a bit really bad. So I'm going to do this every week or every other week, and hopefully I improve. But yeah, it's quite fun to do, and I hope you try it as well. It's definitely a good thing to do. It's been quite a bit of fun. I would definitely recommend. Maybe eventually we'll get to Red Blade. If you leave your suggestions for next week or the week after in the comments, and I'll pick probably 3 that I like and I think I can do. I do eventually hope to do as many of these on the actual tick sheet that are actually possible. Like some of these aren't, like who do we have? I reckon I might be able to do Akka. Akka would be a really hard one, but I reckon I can do. But things like Jin, Ying, Ivan, Naro, they all really don't have figures that look. Quan, Kasim, Helios, they all kind of have figures that don't look like them. No figures that look like them. Akbar and Sakuma are other ones. A lot of the other ones are doable. No goes quite hard. A lot of the other ones are doable, I think. I reckon I can do an Ardo. I don't know if you can hear. I reckon I can do Ardo. Because if you look, he's very similar to Zengis. Like, he's got a round shield and the hat looks quite similar, but I'm not sure. I do want to do a Malik. I'm pretty sure I can do a Malik, as well as the fact that this is one of the things that's always annoyed me, is Manawa here is Earth, despite the fact that in the game he's Water, and his special move is Water Boost. They always put him in Earth for the collectible card games and figures and stuff. So I'm going to try and make a clear green Manawa figure, a clear blue Manawa figure. I have a couple ideas of how I'm going to do that. It probably won't work, but still. There's also possibility for Kuro. Toki is also possible. I'm going to try and do a Ping. Ping's going to be probably the hardest. I'm going to turn Monaro into Ping, so that's going to be interesting. Akka's going to be quite hard as well, because that will literally be like cutting the head off of one figure and putting it on another's lower half, which would be like, because I'm going to use the bottom of Ram, probably, because he's got kind of this look for the bottom, and I'm going to use Shaka's head, because if Shaka's not on the tick list, but it should hopefully allow me to do Akka, but that's going to be later on in the series. But yeah, so for now, that's what we've got. Interestingly, what was I going to say? Oh well, never mind. But yeah, so put in the comments what you want, and I'll just quickly finish these off. Okay, now for spiky teeth. It's probably my favourite part of making these. Just kidding, I hate doing tiny details. I love the like big parts where I like repaint the helmet or whatever, but when you get to this bit, yeah, pretty close, pretty close. I'm gonna probably redo that at some point, I don't know. But for a slice figure, it's more detailed than the actual figure would have been. So put him there. Now we've got left is Hector, who's going to be interesting. Going to take the risk that his eyes have already dried and try and do the black. Okay, there we go. Not bad, not bad. I think that's quite a good one. So 2 good ones, 1 dud, which is quite good. So they're just going to dry quickly, and that's today's customs office. And there you go. 3 figures, 1 episode, and I'm hopefully going to do this regularly and hopefully finish off my figure collection through making all the ones I want to make, or as many as I can make with the figures. I'm going to keep trying to import some more of the kind of rarish ones that I want to do customs with. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you can use some of the tips or techniques shown. I say techniques, it's basically just like clipping off everything you don't want with these things and then painting it with random colours. But I thought this might be fun. I know some people have enjoyed my customs in the past. They're very blobby, I know, but still, they're fun to do, and I think they can look quite good. Thanks for watching. See you next week or the week after. I'll see. We're out.